Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's July 14th, 2022 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Great Barrington Select Board will be conducted in remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public or parties with a right or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A Section 20F, to notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by the town, by the Berkshire Edge and the Berkshire Eagle and other members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. Listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. One moment. Perfect. Okay, so first we'll call to order the Select Board and the Housing Authority in joint meeting. So first, let me promote the Housing Authority who are present. If John Grogan is present, could you raise your hand if you're on a phone?
He is planning to be here, and I spoke to him about 3 minutes ago, and he was trying to get on.
Okay. So who else am I missing?
I think it's just the three of us, Eileen, John, and myself.
Good. Okay, that's what I thought. Well, I'll start with the Select Board doing a roll call. Give John a little more time. So roll call vote, Garfield.
Here.
Eric.
Here.
Ed.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
So all 5 Select Board members are present.
Steve, I walked away for a minute, but did you remind John that it's *9 to raise your hand on the phone?
We're not sure it's him. That's a good point. So it's a *9, John, if that's you on one of the phones. I did not mark it. So for everyone, while we're still waiting to see if John comes on, if you're on a phone tonight and you want to raise your hand, it's *9. And then when you recognize, you need to press *6 to unmute yourself. *9 and *6.
I'm sorry, Steve, you seem to be going in and out of good audio.
Yeah, that's what Mark just told me.
Okay.
Now, which is the first time we've had. Can you understand me at all?
Yes.
Now you're good.
Okay. So there are only 2 members of the Housing Authority, but we're taking a joint vote, so I'm not concerned about that. Do I have a nomination?
Is that for me?
That
Or
would
is that
be
for Lisa?
anyone.
Okay,
Well, I think-
I make a nomination to appoint Tom Blavelt to the Housing Authority.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll do it in roll call form. I'll first start with the Housing Authority, Eileen Mooney. You're muted, Eileen.
Aye.
Thank you. Phil Lawrence,
Aye.
let's see, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and Lee.
Hi.
And it's unanimous. Tom Lovell has now been appointed to the Housing Authority. And we also have down citizen speak time to do with, and that would only be discussion about anything to do with the appointment that's going on right now, the Select Board and Housing Authority, or anything to do with what our joint meeting is about. There will be citizen speak time for the Select Board at the end of the meeting. Just raise your hand, and as I said, if you're on the phone, it's *9.
I have John on the phone and he votes yes. He gives me his proxy. He-
You may realize that proxies are legal.
He is, he's trying to hit *6 apparently,
He needs to hit *9 to raise his hand, and
whatever.
I can hear him. Just tell him to say yes.
Just say yes.
Perfect. It's a yes from John Grogan. So it's unanimous.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Okay. Do I have a motion for the Housing Authority to adjourn your part of the meeting?
I make the motion that we adjourn this part of the meeting.
And make sure John's on there. Phil, do you have a second on that?
I second that.
Okay.
I hung up.
Oh, well, you can't really do anything. So it is adjourned. This meeting is adjourned.
John, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was interesting. Okay, we're going to call the Select Board's regular meeting to order. And it's the same 5 people. I'm not going to call a roll call again. It's no one's gone anywhere in the last 3 minutes. Select Board's announcements or statements. Garfield.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a little info what I should gather from Great Barrington Day. It's hard to say right now because the numbers aren't really in. There's a lot of people I haven't been able to get a hold of because they just haven't had the right contact person there. But
Okay. You'll bring it to us at some point?
well, yeah, the most rousing thing I have that gives me a feeling that it's possible to try again. Of course, KLEX being the dispensary at 15, but the Berkshire Food Co-op said they had many people and people were really excited. So that gives me pause to want to think to do it again. Others I have not been able to get a hold of. TP Saddle Blanket had a bunch of folks, but they weren't quite sure if they were all from Great Barrington. Robbins only had one person. They thought it might have been a rowdy crowd this year, rowdier, she said. So maybe there weren't so many locals there, but we'll see when I get the other numbers and I'll let you know.
Thank you, Garfield. Eric?
Nothing at this time. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks. Ed?
Nothing.
Lee?
Two things. One thing, I'm going to be bringing up an initiative that I've been working on this past month, and I'm just kind of flagging it. It's I'll probably be asking for some time on the Select Board agenda, but it's in short, it's looking at a shuttle service or a jitney from Great Barrington to Wassaic. And having 3 children, 2 in college and 1 shortly in college, I'm realizing that, you know, when you're limited in transportation and you do have some need to go to the city, that we have this untapped resource, which is Metro North. So it's an initiative that I'm working on, and I will be asking for some time coming up with the select board to talk about this. So I'm just flagging that. So that's a shuttle or a jitney from Great Barrington to Wassaic to take advantage of what I see as an untapped resource, seeing that it's a regular transportation to the city. The second one item I wanted to mention is that we have a joint select board, planning board, housing subcommittee tomorrow meeting at 1 o'clock, and we'll be reorganizing. We'll be selecting a new chair and vice chair. We'll be setting our priorities for the fiscal year, and we'll be hosting Bill Cook and Caroline Valley to come talk about the North Plain housing development. So that's tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, Lee. Mine is just a process.
If I may, just for 1 second, I failed to thank the select board for your support and the town for giving me the money to take care of the finances, what it costs. So thank you, select board and the town.
Thanks, Garfield. So mine is just a process. Under town manager's report is the Housatonic Waterworks. And unfortunately, due to some less than accurate reporting, which we seem to be getting more and more of lately, there's some thought that we're going to have as a select board a discussion about this. The Housatonic Waterworks is on every agenda for Mark to give us an update. And there is no plan for a select board discussion tonight. We're still meeting in executive session to try to work on this problem. So I apologize that the reporting seems to continue to be inaccurate. But there was never a plan for a select board discussion tonight. So Mark, do you want to go with the town manager's report?
Sure. Thanks, Steve. So over the last couple of weeks, with the average temperatures being above normal, we're hearing from more and more customers from the Housatonic Waterworks than we usually do. And while it's helpful to hear from folks so that we know what's happening in the village, we've been directing people to contact DEP since they have the authority to require site-specific testing. And I've seen that a number of residents have done that. So thank you to them. We also posted 3 new documents in our Housatonic Waterworks hub on the select board page. One is an update from Housatonic Waterworks. It's a letter that went out to its customers. So if you didn't receive it, you can find a copy on our website outlining its plans for improvements in the coming year or so. There's a notice of enforcement from DEP to Housatonic Waterworks. And then there's a letter from DEP approving the pilot study to address the removal of manganese, which is required to continue through 4 seasons. So that's all I have on that topic. And before I move on, I just wanted to ask the board if you'd like to consider scheduling the next strategy session while the board is convened.
So our thoughts were the next Monday we meet, which is in 2 weeks, we would do it after the end of that meeting if everyone is okay with it.
The 22nd.
Yes.
You broke up. That's the 22nd at the end?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
that works for me.
Works for me.
All right.
Perfect. It's sealed.
Thank you. And then my last update for this evening is just a quick one on the Division Street Bridge. The bridge deck and the trusses have been removed. A crane removed the remaining truss pieces last week. The modular bridge should be arriving within a few weeks now. It's a little later than we originally expected, but not too much later. But the project is moving along, and I hope to have an anticipated update an opening date to share with the public and with the board very soon. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mark. Licenses and permits. Great Barrington Land Conservancy. Janice Cobble and Jane Angelini for the Run for the Hills 5K, 10K run and walk, seeking permission to use town roads on Sunday, October 16th, 2022. And Jane, if you would just like to give a little information to us and to the public about what you're planning to do.
Sure, I'd be happy to. This is the 12th annual Run for the Hills. It's a 5K, 10K walk run. It's been very well received by the community. It's become a community event. It is, we have a great partnership with the Kilpatrick Recreation Center at Bard College at Simon's Rock, where we all gather. And we do our registration there outside if it's possible. And then that's where we do our finish and award ceremony. We really appreciated their partnership over the years. It'll be Sunday, October 16th. And the 10K begins obviously earlier than the 5K, but we're usually through by about 11 o'clock. And it turned out to be a great event. Last year, we had a record number of runners and walkers. Everybody, all the runners and walkers love the course. It's a beautiful course. It's a little hilly, but it's quite beautiful. And we've appreciated the select board's support in the past and the town's support. So we're hoping that we can ask that again tonight.
Thanks, Jane. Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to grant the Great Barrington Land Conservancy permission to use town roads on Sunday, October 16th for the Run for the Hills 5K and 10K run and walk.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion?
I just like, just out of curiosity, what the route is again, please? I don't think I saw it.
The route?
Yes, please.
Yeah, there's two different routes, obviously, because there's a 10K and a 5K. They both start on Alford Road, and the 10K loops around and then finishes at Simon's Rock. The 5K has the same start and stop on Alford Road and loops around, and everybody returns to Simon's Rock.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Roll call vote. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. Good luck, Jane.
Great, thank you.
Next one is Daniel Shankin of Friends of Grove Street Park for a temporary Sunday entertainment license for Sunday, August 14th, 2022 from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the park behind Town Hall, 334 Main Street. We'll get the name of this park right eventually on the agenda. Daniel, you want to just give us a little overview?
We are having music, storytelling, and yoga starting at about 11:30 and then running until 6. We're bringing in a couple of bands, and we're hoping that everybody wears tie-dye.
Mhm.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant a temporary Sunday entertainment license to the Friends of Grove Street Park on Sunday, August 14th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the park behind Town Hall.
Have a second.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments? Daniel, I just have a couple of questions. One, it could be my memory. Did we not, the parks not stop it at 5:30 and because is there something at the
Right.
St. James?
Yes. I'm sorry for that confusion. The music is stopping at 5:30. We're figuring people are going to hang out for a little bit and we're going to break down and stuff like that.
Okay, perfect. And just so people understand, this is to benefit Grove Street Park. So any profits that you make from this, we donated to the town to use at the Grove Street Park, correct?
Yes. And really, I'm not attached to Grove Street. I would just, playgrounds in general.
Terrific.
do have a question.
Playgrounds, Grove Street playgrounds, wherever. Let's put up some playgrounds.
Lee?
And do you have porta potties, or you might have had that in your
We don't.
you don't? So do you have any sense of how many people might be coming from your social media? I'm just worried that if we get a lot of people and no porta potties, we could run into some problems.
I mean, I figure it's a small town. I can't imagine we'll get that much more than like 200 or so, which is kind of what you see at Berkshire Busk anyway.
There's a porta potty behind town hall now, so there's one.
Okay.
And I think the chief is on the line, so I'm not sure this, as he's been made aware of this, but I guess he has been now. Okay, roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And it's unanimous. Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, new business. Parking ticket processing. Chief Story.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and promote the chief. And in the meantime, I just wanted to mention, while we're waiting for him to come in, that in your packet for this evening was an executive summary on this topic, and Chief Story is here to present the idea of having Plymouth County, the Plymouth County Treasurer's Office, provide this service going forward. So go ahead, Chief.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks for this time. I'll just give you a quick overview. One of the things I was looking at to try to take, are looking at our parking ticket processing process currently. I discovered those kind of antiquated and kind of difficult to manage the way we're doing things. So a little research, I discovered that Plymouth County, Massachusetts has a parking collection program that they've done for over 40 years to several communities across the state of Massachusetts. So we had a phone call with them. We got a lot of the details about it. I think, by using this system, it'll definitely help us modernize and make it a lot more efficient the way that we process parking tickets once they are issued. That means the collection, the statutory requirement, if somebody doesn't pay after 21 days, they have to be notified in writing via first class mail that their ticket has gone unpaid, and then they have so many days after that to submit the payment to the municipality. The way this system works is we would issue the ticket, parking ticket, like we always have. We have two options. We can issue it the way we currently do it now, which is a paper citation. And we would then send a hard copy to them, either electronic file or via the email, via mail. They would then process the citation and handle the collection of those funds. They also have a second option where they have some proprietary software that they've developed for their collection system that would allow us to do it web-based through a cloud platform. And that's another option that I'll explain to you in a second. So the way that it works is they collect the funds and they take a $2 fee for the collection of the funds on each ticket that's written. We don't have to pay them anything. It's deducted from the amount that they collect. If somebody failed to pay their parking ticket after the statutory requirement, they would then issue a letter and mail it to the person. And that would be an extra 50 cents for the letter and 60 cents for the postage that they would collect. So the maximum they would ever collect would be the $3.10 for the $2 processing fee for the ticket, 50 cents for the letter and envelope, and the 60 cents for the postage. They communicate all the information directly to the RMV if a ticket goes unpaid or the owner doesn't respond to the notice for collection after the set amount of days. So they handle all that part. So once the ticket is issued, they pretty much handle everything. At the end of each month, they would submit a check to the town of Great Barrington for the fees that were collected, minus that fee structure I just explained to you, the $2 if somebody pays it, and then the additional $1.10 if somebody did not pay it. If they don't pay it after that, then the registry of motor vehicles gets notified, and there's a hold put on their renewal for their license and registration. That process has always been in place. It's just the way we are doing it is very, very antiquated. So the second part of issuing tickets I wanted to talk about briefly was the electronic software that they do offer. The handheld device has a cost of $1,152. It's a one-time fee for that device, and it can be deducted from the fees that they collect. So we wouldn't have to put any money out for it. They would just, until we collected that amount of fines, they would just deduct it. The only reoccurring fee that we would incur for that electronic handheld device is a $22 monthly fee for the data upload and download. Also, another nice part about it, because it is web-based, the current laptops that we have in our cars could be utilized by officers, so they wouldn't have to handwrite the ticket. They could actually use our tablets that are in already in the cruisers to be able to issue the parking citation. I would like to see, the electronic version. Obviously, it saves a lot of time and energy just uploading, and so we don't have to generate those reports and mail them out, or send the reports at the end of the month. I think it's taking this processing that's needs revamping into the future. I think the cost is minimal. Another part of the conversation when we were talking about was our fee structure that I'd like you to consider is currently our fee structure for any other violation, with the exception of handicap parking, which is set by the state, that's $100. We have it set at 20. Most municipalities are much higher than that. Most he told us are around $50. So a small increase could also help offset some of that revenue that we would be losing. I don't have the figure to date of what we've written for citations, but I know it's quite a few this year. Historically, I'll say approximate $15,000 worth. And again, this is a rough figure. So that's about 750 tickets a year. That would be $1,500 is what they would generate in revenue from us for doing all that work. I'd be glad to answer any questions. If I missed something, it's a quick overview, but I really would like you to consider it.
Any comments or questions before we take a motion? I think there's two parts to this. One is the motion to go with a recommendation that we utilize this service, and it seems to me that we would want to go in 100% and use the electronic downloading. And then the second is either at this meeting or a future meeting to look at parking ticket prices, how much we're charging people. That may be something we want a little more information on, or tonight we could do it. So there's two parts to this.
So I guess I do have a question for the chief. If we did go with the electronic equipment and you said they hold them in, it would work with your tablets and the computer. I guess the general idea would be just a little more oversight on parking violations in general throughout the town with the handicap spaces and all that, as opposed to just the one parking attendant.
Well, we currently have that ability to do that. So it's just the time and to be able to do it. And that's not on our priority list. So we do enforce parking. A lot of it is reactive, meaning that we don't have the time to proactively go out and find every handicap spot, but we do get calls and we do react, or if somebody files a complaint about a certain road or street that there are complaints about, we will monitor that area a little bit more closely. But yes, it would make that whole process a lot easier for us to do. Like I said, the current way we do it is very, very time consuming for the parking enforcement officers. They handwrite the citation, they come back, they run all the information, they generate a warrant, they submit the warrant. There's a lot of steps to it, and that's just to get it to the town hall. Right. This would be able to backfill the information, which means they could take that license plate number and actually backfill the information right into the fields, the fields of the electronic ticket, and it just would expedite and save a lot of time and energy. Yeah. And then the warrant would be generated automatically, it'd be uploaded, that way instead of us having to manually do it.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense to you. We actually print each one out, cut it just for that information and attach it to the, staple it to the ticket. It's
Sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I got one other thing for you. So, and you might have said this already, but if they do, say, somebody doesn't pay their ticket, is there, and at the end of the day, that just gets held up, or if there's a court thing or anything like that, there's,
Well,
was that?
to answer that, there's a couple different things. So the nice thing about the electronic is it's automatically uploaded. Once the ticket is written, it goes to the cloud, and they can so that person would have the ability to pay that ticket right away if they chose to do so. If they request a hearing, they're on their webpage. There is a link for them to request a hearing. We still manage the hearing aspect of it.
Okay.
So if somebody within that 21-day period wanted a hearing, they would have the right to appeal the citation, just like a motor vehicle citation. And then once that citation or that appeal has been heard, then they would be notified that, either they're responsible or they're not responsible. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
I have two questions.
Go ahead, Lee.
So thank you, Chief. So are you pretty much ensuring that a fine increase will offset any increased costs? But we're pretty sure that will be the case.
Yeah, my recommendation, well, the maximum we would ever have to pay per ticket, and that's if somebody got a ticket, failed to pay it after they were giving notice, is $3.10 for that ticket. So currently our fee structure is $20 for almost everything except for handicap. So, my suggestion, just with everything that's been happening, is if you are going to consider a fee structure change, just have it a small bump to maybe $25. We haven't changed the fee structure for parking tickets in a long, long time, many, many, many years. I can't even remember how far back it was when they made a change. So again, not to get, I think 50 is way, way too much, but a small fee structure or a small fee bump would definitely offset that $3.10 that we, at worst case scenario, would pay, or would be deducted from our fee structure. We don't pay anything. They just deduct it from the $25 they collect.
Mm-hmm. And the second question is, are there any downsides to doing this in your research that you found?
I really haven't found any downsides to it. I just think just the cost saving, the time saving, just bringing that whole process up to modernizing it is a no-brainer for me. I just think it's a great way. It gives me more time because I currently have to, when I send out my parking enforcement, I have to, because they're part-time, they're limited. I have to give them at least 2 hours a week of that parking enforcement time just to process the tickets. And that's just on our end. That's not counting after the collection part. That's just in-house. So for me, that's 2 extra hours that, we can really get extra visibility.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I guess going back to the ticket fees, is you suggest 25 as opposed to neighboring towns 50. You don't think 50 would help with deterring people from camping out all day, or?
It definitely would. The other side is you're going to probably have more appeals. Mm-hmm. So and just times are tough. It's not really it's to get the message out, but also people. I think 25 is a fair amount. Again, that's up for you guys to figure out, but I think that's a fair amount.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So let's start with a motion on the service.
Do you want me to read this recommendation from the executive session or summary?
However you want to make it,
Okay.
that would be fine to make it as a.
Okay, I'm going to make a recommend. I recommend that we utilize this service and transition to using electronic handheld device for issuing violations in the field.
Second.
Furthermore, I recommend that we consider reviewing our fine structure at a following meeting.
No, let's do one at a time.
Oh, do the time. Okay, so scratch the second part, but
Yep. So we have a motion and a second by Ed. Any discussion? So roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. I can't think of any reason why we would want to wait on the fines. I don't know of any. Mark, do you know of any reason statute wise that we would want to wait on this?
I don't, but
Okay.
we didn't plan to have this discussion tonight, although you're welcome to.
So just for the sake of transparency, 2 weeks isn't going to matter. Let's just put it on the agenda for 2 weeks.
We can do a little more research on our end and put together an executive summary again.
Yeah, and in case someone does want to speak about it from the audience, they'll know it's on the agenda. So why not? There's not an urgency to it. So, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, outdoor dining on Railroad Street. A request from a merchant for earlier closure of certain parking stalls.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and get us started. And I believe there are at least a few people on the line tonight that would like to speak, but at your meeting on April 11th, this board approved a request to close Railroad Street from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. on Friday and Saturday nights from Memorial Day through Labor Day. And as you probably recall, that's later than we closed the street or narrowed in prior years. But it was an attempt to find a time that would work for both merchants and restaurants on Railroad Street. That was really the time that most people could agree to. So from time to time, I do receive complaints about setup happening on Railroad Street, beginning as early as 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock some nights. And I'm aware of at least one restaurant owner that's on the line tonight that would like the board to consider allowing restaurants to set up tables before 6 p.m. There may be others on the line, like I said, but I'm going to go ahead and open the mic for Michael Marcus. Michael, your mic is open on our end.
So
Thank
Michael,
you.
if you just want to
Much,
rationale.
Thank you very much for allowing us to voice our opinions on this. And first, before we start, I would just wanted to express our gratitude to the town of Great Barrington and Board of Selectmen for opening up this new approach to being a restaurant. It's completely changed our ability to serve the public. We have indoor dining. And then as soon as COVID came about, after about a year, we were able to first serve on the sidewalk and then the pedestrian mall, which is now Railroad Street, on Friday and Saturday nights. The problem is that we, as a restaurant, and the other restaurants have a completely different agenda than the other business on the Railroad Street, the merchants, the shop owners, the retailers.
We have a different timetable.
Our goal is to be able to function as an outdoor and indoor restaurant in a viable way without the situation regressing into complete chaos. We open as a restaurant at 5 o'clock. That means our staff is invested in doing their work inside the restaurant, greeting people, seating people, taking their food orders, going on to deliver the food. And we have a very robust business, and we're very customer oriented. So you can imagine how much effort is just to serve the people that are inside the restaurant. And so when the street opens at 6 o'clock, our staff is depleted. They're not able to set up the restaurant or the street as almost like another restaurant. So we're basically setting up the street as another restaurant, which puts a lot of pressure on everybody, all the staffs. All the restaurants on Railroad Street have the same situation. Baba Louie's, the Moon Cloud, there's a new restaurant across the street, Elm, and then also Soko Ice Cream. So we have a very special challenge, and that's to get our restaurants set up on the street while we're already in full service. So you can imagine how difficult that might be. And we don't want to step on anybody's toes. The 6 o'clock businesses have their agenda. The 5 o'clock restaurants have a completely different agenda. And what we would like to just request is that the 2 parking spots in front of Bizen, perhaps the 2 parking spots in front of the other businesses, would be allowed to stage their tables, chairs on those 2 streets, parking spaces in front of the restaurant, not seat anybody, just stage the chairs and tables so that when 6 o'clock hits, police cordon off the street, the tow trucks remove the cars that are not out of there by then. And then at 6 o'clock, we can then very, very seamlessly move our tables and chairs out on the street, set up. The people are waiting very anxiously to sit down because the buskers are singing. The people are very anxious, they're hungry, and they want to utilize the restaurants on Railroad Street. So with due respect, I would really like you to consider allowing us to take those 2 parking spaces in front of our restaurant and nothing else. Put the tables and chairs there. 6 o'clock happens, and then we aggressively move the tables and chairs onto the street. And that will help us alleviate a lot of the stress and chaos that practically what is going on really affects our business.
Thank you, Michael. So if anybody wants to comment on this before the select board gets involved, there are other store owners and restaurant owners on the line. If anyone wants to comment, raise your hand. There we go. So, Paula Friedman, just state your name and address and what business you're associated with, please, if any.
My name is Paula Friedman. I'm associated with Bernay Fine Art. Our gallery is on the corner of Main Street and Railroad Street. Our actual address is 296 Main Street, but we're right next to Griffin's. Our back door is right next to Griffin's on Railroad Street. And I was hoping there would be more people on that were willing to speak, but I didn't see anybody raise their hand. So I just, we've had a lot of issues this past month with Friday and Saturday nights. I've spoken to Jean about the issues with the busk people out on the street at 4:30, warning people that their cars are going to be towed. And he's agreed to try not to do that as early as 4:30. I've spoken to a couple of times to the police who have been there at 5:30 with their sirens flashing. And also I've spoken to Michael about putting tables out on the street before the designated time. Unfortunately, like people like Connie and other people doesn't seem like they're on the phone tonight. It was sort of short notice. I tried to spread the word, but I think that the retailers on the street, I can't really speak for the other restaurant owners or SoCo or anybody. I know that the Familiar Trees at the top of the street, I've talked to them. I've talked to the gallery that has the glasses. I've talked to Connie. I've talked to others. I mean, I think that we all agreed that 6 o'clock was agreed upon time so that we can stay open and have people park on Railroad Street and come into our establishments. And, it's getting to the point where on Thursday night at 5:30 or 5:45 when I leave my gallery, the street is packed with cars and people are double parking, waiting for parking spots. On Friday and Saturday night, it's getting to the point at 4:30, 4:45, that there's absolutely, barely anybody parking on the street because they see tables out, they see people warning them about being towed. And this is not what we agreed to, and it is really hurting our businesses. I talked to Jean about possibility of, making sure that there were other alternative parking places that people could park at, some information, but, warning people, having chairs and tables out on the street before 6 o'clock, I think is ridiculous. I mean, the buskers don't start until 6:30. I'm sorry if Michael doesn't have enough staff to put his chairs and tables out, at the appropriate time, but it's just not fair to us. I mean, rely on people parking there and coming into our stores, and we all agreed on 6 o'clock. And I don't think it's fair for this to be happening at 4:30 or 5 o'clock. It is really upsetting to most of the business owners. And again, I hope there's other people on the phone, because I mean, it's been really, the last couple of weeks have been very difficult for us.
Thank you very much. Anyone else before the select board begins their discussion?
Just to comment on that, that comment by the person. We're not going to be seating anybody on the street.
No, I think we're clear, Michael, that you just want to use up 2 spaces. We're not going to get into a discussion. This is a select board meeting, not a discussion between individuals.
Right. And we had also discussed with Mark during one of the Zoom meetings about the possibility of staging the tables at around 4:30, and there was a consensus among the people that were at the Zoom meeting. I don't know if the person who just spoke was at that Zoom meeting, but we had consensus that we could start staging the tables in front of on the street, on the curbside, and at 4:30, because it would just help us in terms of stopping the chaos that will happen.
Thank you, Michael.
If I just,
No, let's move ahead here. We're not gonna get into a discussion. Mark, do you want to clarify you were at that meeting?
Yeah, at one point, Michael reached out to me, and I don't recall that conversation happening at the meeting, but I do recall Michael asking me in May or June, early June, I think it was, if he could set up early. And at that time, it's pretty quiet on Railroad Street, and I didn't have any problems with it. Kind of monitored it myself on Friday nights. I'd walk over there, and generally when it's starting to set up, there would be 9, 10 open parking spots. So it didn't seem like a big deal, but we're in high season now. The spots are in high demand, and I'm not sure it works at this time.
Okay, and Chief Story, go right ahead.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, just originally when we had these meetings about it, my biggest concern obviously is the safety of the pedestrians and the diners and the people in the downtown area. That's why we came up with this plan to close the roadway. From my perspective too, there's still, up until we close that roadway with those barricades across, there's still traffic that is flowing up through there. And from my perspective, and to try to keep people safe, I prefer not to have people setting up stuff in the road, any part of the roadway. So.
Thank you, Chief. Garfield, go ahead. It's time for the select board.
Thank you, Stephen. First of all, I'd like to address Mr. Marcus. I have not heard, and the people obviously had a chance to speak, have any issues other than yourself. So I don't think it's fair to speak for the other places that you named, since they have not come forward. So let's just concentrate on you. And I think that we should leave it where it is. You can see, my feeling is, if it inconveniences some people, maybe not everyone, but enough where it's an issue and people are going to complain about it, I think you should leave it as it is, because it's an issue that makes people uncomfortable. And again, I'm sorry, but I have to agree with Ms. Friedman. If you don't have the staff, that's not anyone's problem but your own. And I don't mean that to be nasty, but just that 6 o'clock was the agreed to time. We should keep it there. If these other people come forward, maybe we'll listen. But you're the only one that's made and voiced your opinion.
Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say a few things. One is I've been down to Berkshire Bus a few times, and the whole event in general is pretty amazing, especially recently with all the crafts and everything. It's an awesome event that something I always thought would be great to have Railroad Street closed off like that in the summer. And maybe Mark or somebody can help me with this, but we have it until Labor Day weekend, right? The street's closing off. That leaves us basically 3 more weekends of it, and I think the second year, in my opinion, now I haven't been to all of them, but it seems like it's been pretty successful. It seems like it's been better than last year. and a lot of compromises were made in between the 2 years. So I kind of feel that we should keep it as it is for the rest of it. And then have the restaurants and the store owners get back for next season and see if they can work out a deal then. But changing it halfway, 3/4 the way through, doesn't seem exactly like a good idea to me. So.
Thanks. Chief Story, did you ever hear that?
Yes, sorry, Eric just basically said what I was going to say. You know, we put a lot of planning into this at the beginning of the year to try to make it as safe as possible. I don't think now's the right time to do it. You know, if Michael wants to propose this next year, we can come up with a plan to make, you know, to meet his needs that everybody's participating in. We have a joint effort to meet everybody's needs. We're learning as we go here. I think this year is much safer and worked out really well. But we can always try to, you know, accommodate certain things, but let's do it next year.
Blake, go ahead.
So I'm a member of the advisory panel for the Berkshire Busk, and we're meeting tomorrow at 9:30, and we're going to be assessing this year as well as last year. And we're going to be really going over some of the things that worked and didn't work. And I think this is an opportunity to look at your thoughts, Michael, and work them into possible changes next year. But I think, you know, in the middle of a game, so to speak, and then move the goalpost, I think we have to look at other restaurants, because obviously we have 20 Railroad reopening and Baba Louie's. And I worry that, you know, once we open the doors, they're going to want to step in. So I recognize your wishes, but I think, you know, maybe this is a discussion that we can look to doing some changes in the next year.
Just to be clear, what Lee is saying, ultimately, it's the select board's decision. There'll be a recommendation for next year. It's our final decision. And I think I agree with both Lee and Eric that it's 3 weeks left. This, you know, this is not time to experiment. And I've seen people park parallel park. So if you're going to use 2 spaces, it's going to be ugly if someone tries to pull in front or back of it. So I would be concerned about that. But I think it's late in the year, and let's just get through this year, which has been a huge success, and see if they can come up with some sort of a agreement for next year. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move ahead. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Paula. Next is the assignment of police officers at polling locations. We'll put Jen, and Chief is already up.
Okay, just promoted Jen to be a panelist, so she should be entering right now.
Jen, do you want to lead this, or Chief?
Nope, Chief is kind of sort of part of it, but I'm the one that prepared it.
Okay, thank you.
So if he has any interjection, he can, you know, jump in. So the Votes Act was recently signed by Governor Baker. And within that, there were obviously several changes, but one of the changes was assignment of police officers at polling locations. And currently what we've had is it's always just been, I've told the chief, we've got an election coming up. I need, you know, a guy at each place, out at the fire station and Housatonic Community Center. And then he's kind of assigned whatever officers were available, whoever was willing, that type of thing. And now the Votes Act has put in the hands of the select board. So, you know, I'm guessing that you guys really don't want to be in charge of doing that at every election. So one of the options is for you guys to vote to go ahead and just give the chief permission to assign officers for every election like it's normally done. But obviously you have to take a vote to do that.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I make a motion to vote for the assignment of police officers at the polling location.
There's a specific motion.
Oh, okay.
Executive summary.
Sorry, I was just trying to make it easier.
Yeah.
I'll read this. Okay, here we go. I recommend the select board per the recently passed.
I want One below that.
Oh, select board vote. Sorry about that. Motion. I move to approve a sufficient number of police officers, but not less than one at the polling location at every election therein to preserve order and to protect the election officers and supervisors from any interference with their duties and to aid in enforcing the laws relating to elections as required by Section 72 of Mass General Law, Chapter 54, which was changed in Section 13 of Chapter 92 of the Acts of 2022. Further, I move to designate the police chief or a police department designee the authority to assign specific police officers according to scheduling and availability. The town clerk will advise the police chief on the location and time the officers are needed for every election.
Do I have a second? Second by Ed. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield? You're muted, Garfield.
Aye. Sorry about
Eric.
that.
That's okay. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. And then next, Jen is still on for this one, which is something we do every year, is to vote to appoint election officers for FY23. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to vote to place election officers for fiscal year 2023.
And those are the list. What we're appointing is.
Can I
the
read
list.
them? Yeah.
No, you don't need to read them. The
Okay.
list that was in the packet. Those are the officers, election officials that we're appointing.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next, do I have a motion to appoint Joseph Method to the Affordable Housing Trust?
I make a motion to appoint Joseph Method to the Affordable Housing Trust.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. And just to tell everyone, the attendance for the peak was 6 attendees and 27, so 33 was the number of participants. Next is a first look presentation of the Du Bois sculpture. The intention tonight is, as it says on the agenda, first look. We will wait for final recommendations from historical and library before we take our vote, but this is a beginning for us.
May I speak, Steve, for a minute?
Yes, please.
I need to recuse myself as an abutter to the library. So
Thank you.
please Mark, or you remove me from.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, it should be headed back to the participant pool. So also in your packet for this evening was a project summary that you just mentioned, Steve, for the proposed W.B. Du Bois Memorial at the Mason Library. With us tonight is Bobby Houston to present, so I'll go ahead and promote him.
I just
There
promoted
it
it.
is.
Yeah.
And I would just like to ask Bobby, before we get started, is there anyone else on your team that you'd like us to promote? And your mic's open on our end.
Just unmute yourself, Bobby, please.
Sure. I'm hoping that certainly Julie Michaels. I'm hoping Ari Zorn is joining us. Perhaps Lauren Clark. Anybody else from the team holler out?
I'm here. Julie Michaels is here.
How about Ari Zorn?
I think Ari's having technical trouble, and he's trying, but anyway.
We can run with the ball.
Yeah.
Ari's mic is open on our end, and Lauren.
I'm here. Can you?
Great.
Oh. Okay, I just unmuted. I'm here.
We have Bobby, Ari, Julie, and Lauren. Did I miss anyone?
Okay, go ahead, Bobby, with your presentation.
So what we're bringing you is the confluence of two projects, which kind of go seamlessly together. Initially, I was thinking about placemaking along Main Street, which has acted as a highway, far too aggressive a highway for a long time, and hasn't had green spaces and gathering places for citizens and for the public. So the Mason Library is already showing itself as an important plaza. The people are gathering there often and in numbers on the weekends. And it started with, of course, seating and book sales, but that's a natural. And we are looking, and at the moment, the stairs to the library are condemned. So it's a place that's both happening as a place and is in need of improvement. So we have a plaza proposal, and the second project, which is then kind of nestles perfectly in, is the notion of a memorial statue of Du Bois sitting in the plaza as a member of sort of the public and accessible to visitors, people who are coming for the African American Heritage Trail, people who are coming for the new Du Bois Center at the Clinton Church. So it's both a sculpture and a plaza. And you'll see in the packet that we sent that the two are basically kind of one seamless idea. And that's the thought.
Anything else?
Our structure, we are a nonprofit. We're going out to the public at large to raise these funds privately under the aegis of the Nonprofit Center of the Berkshires, with Liana Toscanini as our fiscal supervisor. And so we will be ultimately, as we get through this process, and hopefully that we get everybody's support and blessing, that we will bring this project to the town as a gift.
Continue.
Is my mic open? Is Julie's
Yes,
mic?
it is.
Oh, I just wanted to say we have, of course, made a presentation to the library trustees who are on board with this. Lauren Clark is on the trustee board. She is also on our board, and she is our conduit. And also, given her background in arts, we have also asked her to supervise one of the next steps, which would be putting out an open call for sculptors. We've already identified several African-American sculptors who've done a lot of public art, and we are working with Donna Hassler, who was at Chesterwood, and she has been advising us on how to make a presentation to the public, probably through a sculpture. I can't remember the name of the organization, but something that does this. It will help us reach out. That's part two. Part one is, of course, fixing the staircase and creating something that is more workable and more open to the public. I also think that, Bobby, I know you've been dealing with the Du Bois Center about getting that collection in the library. So again, we see ourselves as a bridge between the Clinton Church, Du Bois Center, the Du Bois Library, and also bringing to the public, to the town of Great Barrington, the realization that this man is important and was important to this town. And I think putting that statue on the main street will signal that. So that's our goal.
Thank you. Board, any questions or comments? Go ahead, Lee.
At what stage do we make comments about the design? I mean, is this the point, or is this just kind of a first look? And then who is the ultimate decider in terms of design, and how does that all work
We are
out?
the ultimate decider on accepting this. I would think it would be helpful to this group that if we had any comments about design, the earlier we we say it, the better it is. So there's no surprises. So if you have anything to say tonight, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm thrilled about having the Du Bois statue in downtown. So, absolutely 100% on board. I do have concerns about the removal of the grass and the impermeable. Is that how you say it, Steve?
Yeah.
Thank you. That it's going to be a lot of concrete. If we take away the grass and we have this plaza, I just worry about overbuilding it. And so I guess that's my initial reaction is, are we making it too big and too grand for that space? So that's
Lee, actually, it's a very valid question. And it's one that the Historic Commission also brought to us. We hadn't really settled on a paving or hardscape plan for the flat area, but we do want to see the apron be level so that people can set up tables or rest or talk without being on a hillside. So we have probably come back to or have settled on lawn and continuing to have green lawn.
Oh, great.
Because it involves less drainage engineering, it involves less stormwater management, it's permeable as nature it's nature's way of giving us permeability. And so that's our thought there.
Yeah, that was my big initial thought when I saw the design.
Yeah, we're of the same mind.
Great, super, thank you.
Lauren, if you have something to say, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to speak to that, but Bobby answered the question.
Okay, anyone else from the board?
I'm just curious, will we see the concepts before, since we have the ultimate in deciding?
Yeah, in order for us to do this, we need to see final plans.
Understood.
Conceptual plans don't work when you're
I'm curious as to seeing before final, will we have a chance to say, this looks better than that, or let's do this, let's not do this, something like that?
Well, we are putting our best foot forward. What we've submitted to you is our current best thinking. So let's hear about your thoughts now and open up the discussion.
Go ahead.
So Bobby, so I'm looking at, so if you are addressing that, my concern about, the permeable surface, am I right to look at the oval right now, and will that then be?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, am I right to say that you're thinking that will be grass and you'll still have a bench that people sit around, or how will that change the design that I see now?
So the oval is the current design that meets ADA standards, and the oval is sort of actually the key. The design takes the oval and goes further with it, so that these sweeping marble benches, which keep off of the steps, nestle in and follow the line of the oval.
Okay.
Can you guys see that in your packet?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess, again, I'm mindful of the marble and the overbuilding, and I just hope it's not getting too grand. I think of Du Bois, I think, more simple, and it could just be my vision thinking about it. But when I see the marble and the build out, I just worry about going too big. So that's just initial, but maybe that's the way I'm looking at this sketch right now.
Would it be helpful for me to share the sketch?
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Sure, that'd be great.
Can everyone see that?
Yes. So in that sketch, let's assume that where you see people standing in the center of the oval, that would be lawn.
Okay.
So now what you're really going to be seeing as a change is that nestled into and abutting up to the top of the racetrack are these marble benches, which are actually quite simple. They're just contoured to an ergonomic shape of a person sitting. They're not high. They don't come up higher than the middle of your back. They taper down as the oval comes down around the curve. So they're not grand. They are, in fact, quite discreet and modern and simple. And we're using local marble, and we're using as many as possible local artisans to do this work.
And we'll get more explicit designs as you go along, correct?
Yes.
Because it is a little hard to picture here, so that would be very helpful.
We have a bunch more visuals, but we didn't want to overload you guys.
Yeah, I think I've seen them, but I think for what, you know, at our next meeting, when you're here, we'll want those.
Yeah,
Of
that would
course.
definitely be helpful.
There's still a display up inside Mason Library of this project.
Thank you.
So in terms, oh, sorry.
No, go
So
ahead.
the process in terms of picking or selecting the sculpture, could you give us some more insight into that? You mentioned, you know, wanting to get an African-American sculpture, but how is that? What's that process going to look like? Will that be something that's public, or how will that get decided?
Do you want to speak to that, Lauren? Are you there, Lauren?
She just raised her hand, so she's definitely here. Lauren, unmute yourself if you're muted and go ahead.
Sorry, I muted when my dog barked.
That's okay.
Okay, so yeah, we're writing a call for artists, which will go out to the public. We had started talking about having it go out to Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New York to start to try to keep it somewhat local, although I'm not sure whether that will end up happening. I'm in discussion with a woman who is the executive director of the American Sculpture sort of institute. It's people who find sculptors all around the country to do projects. So it's going to go out as a call to artists, and people will send their ideas about how they would do a sculpture of Du Bois. And there will be a group of people, probably 3 to 5, who will basically jury that and decide which seems like the best piece that is the most fitting. You know, it's open to absolutely anyone, but it is our hope that there is an African-American sculptor who would fit the bill, because we think it would be appropriate, but it's open to absolutely anyone.
Go ahead, Lee.
So are members of the Du Bois Legacy Committee, are they on board with this, or with the Clinton Church, or I guess the Du Bois Freedom Center? Is that part of the same group, or how are they in this process?
We're not part of the same group at all, although we hope to always be in collaboration with them as just people trying to bring the Du Bois legacy to fruition in terms of a sculpture.
Lauren, can I jump in?
They've sort of got their, you know, they're doing the church, we're doing this, and I would love to think that it will all gather together in a beautiful way.
May I jump in?
Sure.
This is Ari Zorn. I actually I've spoke with Eugenie Seals. They're actually on board, and they're glad that I actually reached out. I had a long conversation with Beth Carlson the other day, and they're very much, from what they said in an email we have, on board with all of this. So we have,
Beth Carlson has her hand up. I'll let her talk too. Or Ari, you finish, and then I'll let Beth talk.
that was pretty much what I had to say, but we're in the midst of conversation recently.
Beth, go right ahead.
Hi, thanks. I just have one super quick comment. And I have expressed this to Ari. And I think, and also we've expressed this in extensive conversations with Bobby and Julie. I do think it would be extremely valuable to have someone with a history or a background in Black history and or particularly Black public history, and how those stories are being told today on the selection team, and closely involved in sort of the design process. I think that would make the final project, relevant and timely in terms of what's happening today. That's my only comment. Thanks.
Thanks, Bob. Anyone else from the board? So to the team, thank you very much. We will have you back. Keep in touch with us if you have changes or you have things you want to bring to us. You're always welcome at a meeting. So Lee,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Just timeline. I know you're raising money, but when can we expect to have you guys back to give us an update or?
Julie?
Well, our goal is to raise $325,000. We are on our way to do that. We've gotten a couple of significant donations. I think once we're halfway there with our money, we can also pay our architect and get more and better drawings for you. And at that point, we would like to come to you and make a presentation with those drawings and have you approve this up to the next stage. I also want to say that we're certainly going to be as open as with this process of selecting a sculptor as possible. And I surely think that once we have some submissions, that we will host a meeting in the library and welcome the community to come and make comments. And in fact, one of our ideas, often when you do something like this, if you have 2 or 3 finalists, you hire the sculptors to do what is called a maquette, which is a small model of the sculpture. And I would think that when we reach that stage, we would display those to the community and get that kind of input. We are also, I'm very keen to have participation from an African-American historian who can certainly work with us and our team and the sculptor we ultimately pick. So my goal is to be open and inclusive, and I see this as a wonderful community project, and everybody we've spoken to has been very enthusiastic. So that's the journey we're on, and we hope to continue, and we certainly hope to keep you in the loop.
Thank you very much.
I want to just throw out one thing. I just want to honor Freka Just, whose project this was from the beginning, but she passed away. And I kind of tapped Julie Michaels, her best friend, on the shoulder and said, let's keep it going. So this is also in memory of Freka.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will promote Ed back. It's still there. There's that.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Citizen speak time. Denise Forbes, go right ahead. You're unmuted. Denise, go right ahead. You are unmuted. If anyone else wants to speak, raise your hand, and I can go back and forth while Denise works out her problems. Michelle LeBert, go right ahead first.
Thanks, Steve. I'm Michelle Loubert, 70 Division Street. With regard to the town manager's report.
How?
Oh,
Denise, I'll recognize you next.
Okay, I'm sorry. You can hear me. Okay.
I can't hear you though, so that's okay. Go ahead, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. In any event, regarding the town manager's report on Housatonic Water, he referenced Housatonic Water's letter to customers. And I just listened to the recording of that section of the meeting. What wasn't stated during the town manager's report is the following, and I'd like to quote it and read it into the record. Those improvements are going to come with a cost. And I quote, "It means that customers who currently pay the minimum $44.73 per month can now expect to pay an additional $45 per month. This will increase their annual charge from $537 to $1,020. So you have a lot of families in Housatonic who can't even use the water they have, can't bathe their babies, can't do their laundries, and they're going to be paying double for it. Now, I'm a local yokel. I've been hearing this stuff with the Housatonic Water for years. This is nothing new. And I think it has to get out there to our neighbors in Great Barrington, what we're going through up here in Housatonic. And I just wanted to state that for the public record. My second comment has to do with the Division Street Bridge. I hope there is going to be some consideration to the residents on Division Street with regard to their entrance into their driveways, because when the traffic lights up at the bridge, if traffic backs up, will the driveway entrances be blocked off so cars do not block them? That's a concern. If you go up on Holmes Road, you can see the markings. They have a bridge up there. Well, we're for sure that traffic's going to back up. On my side, it's apt to back up on the hill. That brings me to another concern, is the traffic speed on Division Street. You're going to have cars flying down Division Street, and all of a sudden there's going to be a line of cars there. And we have a curve on Division Street. So if a car's flying and there's a line of cars, you're going to hear a lot of slamming on and brakes. And God forbid it's a big truck that goes through some cars. So I know everybody's anxious to get this bridge open, but there's going to be some problems if it's not being done thoughtfully and not having the residents of Division Street in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Denise Forbes, go right ahead. Just unmute yourself.
Hi, Denise Forbes, 325 North Plain Road. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate what Michelle just said, because one of my main concerns was the Housatonic Water, and it doubles our water fees, and everyone is so sick of brown water. It's been going on for years and we're not getting reimbursed. Jim Mercer blatantly told everyone he would not reimburse anyone for bottled water. So why should we have to pay him increased fees for work that he should have been doing for years and years and years that he's never done? And we basically are dealing with someone who's incompetent, running a water company where he shouldn't be there. He doesn't know what he's doing. And it's just, we're sick and tired of it. We are going to organize a picket, and we would like to do a march. And who do we get a permit from so we can do a march from Town Hall down to the Housatonic Water Company with the presence of news crews and everything else? Is it the Town Hall that we have to go to for a permit for a march, or do you know who we need to go to? That's a question to all of you.
Yeah, Mark, it would be your office, correct, Mark?
Yeah, I would say reach out to my office. Once we know the scope of what you're planning, we can advise you.
Okay, all right, that's great, because everyone in Housatonic is really fed up, and it's just really, it shouldn't be. And the other issue that we're concerned about are when the Division Street Bridge is opened, what kind of truck traffic will that endure? And will it be able to withstand that type of traffic? That bridge was not in good shape when it went kaput, so it went down. And I would not want to see it have the same problems it had before because of all the trucks from Formels. And that's another situation, Formels. They're just driving trucks through North Plain Road constantly, big trucks, really big trucks. And that's why we're having problems with potholes on 41. And that's another issue that we need to address, getting those potholes fixed. So we pay a lot of excise tax on our cars, and we'd like to have good roads to drive them on. So that's just one more thing. But thank you. I appreciate the time. And I will get in touch with you, Mark, regarding setting up a permit for a march, because we really are going to make a stand about this. No one wants to take this, and no one should have to pay for dirty water. It's just wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Trevor Forbes.
Thank you, Steve. Can you hear me?
We can.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Trevor Forbes, 325 North Plain Road. Thank you for allowing me to talk as well. Denise has said most of what I think is very relevant in terms of the Houstonic Waterworks. I would like the Select Board just to consider, and I know you feel the same as we do, so I appreciate that, but it's something that I really want to reiterate. Having looked at water utilities as an investment manager for many, many years, I know how these companies should be operated, and I quite clearly can see that Houstonic Waterworks is not being operated in the appropriate way. And the reason I can say that is that most water companies have to allocate a certain amount each year for renewing their system or upgrading their system. This is a company that really has not done that. And now what they're actually asking is for the customers of Houstonic Water to be the investors in Houstonic Waterworks to provide the cleaner water, which frankly they should be getting already. And so effectively, the directors of Houstonic Waterworks have a win-win situation here. It's rather like having a cake and eating it. You don't have to actually invest in the business. You can deliver dirty water, and then you can hold your customers to ransom for the cost of actually putting in new facilities. I know you appreciate that. I just wanted to vent that particular point. On the topic of the Division Street Bridge, I would also ask and suggest that maybe concern should be given to a weight limit, particularly a weight limit that should be able to be monitored in some shape or form, because some of these trucks that are going down North Plain Road, which I guess will probably then divert across Division Street, are huge, and they do actually shake the house. So they have to be very heavy. So I would suggest when this bridge is put in place, that you do have some sort of system of measuring the weight of the traffic going over it, and you have an ability to basically sort of follow that up with some form of way of policing that with the people who are potentially infringing it, just as they did before, as both Michelle and Denise have mentioned. That was really all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Trevor.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it's Select Board time. Garfield?
And nothing, thank you.
Eric?
Nothing, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ed? Nothing. Lee?
Yeah, I actually have something. So along with the Houstonic Waterworks, I have a lot of questions about, especially the rate increase. And I recognize that we're in executive sessions, but I would love to be able to possibly bring back Jim and ask him specific questions about the fixes that he's suggesting. I'm looking at, he's doing a pilot study, and then he's doing a first phase and a second phase. The first phase is 2 million, the second phase is 2 million. So this doubling of increases, is this to pay for the pilot? Is this to pay for just phase one? Is this to pay for phase two? What's happening with the $31 million assessment that DPC came and as an ACOM last year? They said that, it's really about infrastructure improvements and replacing the mains. Is this just a a temporary fix? Is this just patchwork? So I would love to bring back Jim and ask questions to him in public. And, as long as it doesn't, throw anything in the works in terms of executive sessions, but I certainly have a lot of questions, and I think it's only fair for the Great Barrington residents and Houstonic residents to hear his answers. So I would request, to bring Jim back for some specific questions from the board related to this increase, because I think it's substantial and it doesn't make sense to me. So that would be my request.
Thank you, Lee. I only have one thing to say, and it's just earlier I talked about some reporting that was less than accurate recently, and I just want to apologize. Eileen thought I was talking about her, and I wasn't. I wasn't talking about the Eagle either. So you can take it from there. I'm sure things will get worked out though. Media time. Seeing no one, by unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.